And welcome to this week's episode of the UFO Show on the Area 51 Sports Network, brought to you by Bet99 Sportsbook at bet99.com. If you head over to www.area51sportsnetwork.com/betting, get $600 as an added bonus off of initial deposit. So however much you put in, up to $600, you get that in a welcome bonus. So Andy, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Adam. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. So before we jump into I guess talking about betting, we got to give a little bit of a congratulations here to a local guy, Dave Tomlinson, who was just announced as the Kraken play-by-play voice for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I saw that. I enjoyed Dave when he was at 1040. I don't know, 5 years ago. Yeah, excited for him, and I think he'll do a great job.
Dave Tomlinson, he's big in the junior hockey scene. I remember he used to do the World Juniors as well. Plus, if you've ever watched the Mighty Ducks TV show, he was the one. If I understand it right, he's the one who did all of the training of the skaters.
Yeah, he does the the hockey scene coordination script, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so it's cool. So check him out if you get the broadcast or can find a way to get the broadcast, because I'm sure it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's jump in here. We're going to start with hockey, and then we're going to move over to football today. Remember, if you do have any questions, you can throw them into the comment section, and we'll try to answer them as best we can. We're going to start with hockey just because the hockey games start before the football game tonight, so maybe you guys can get some bets in. Detroit Red Wings. The Detroit Red Wings versus the Calgary Flames. Now, normally this would not be a big game that people would be paying attention to, but Detroit is one of the best teams in the league at 2-1 with 5 wins, and Calgary is one of the worst with 1 point being an overtime loss. Now, I know it's early, but do you think that the Flames can beat the Wings, or do you think that the Wings are just kind of on a roll to start the season?
Yeah, I don't think the Wings are on a roll, but I think Calgary's just a terrible team right now. So money line plus 112 for Detroit. I actually like that bet. Thomas Greiss, as we saw on, was that Monday when they played the Canucks, is playing very well this year. This is one of those games we talked a few weeks ago, Adam, about international border and COVID vaccines. Tyler Bertuzzi is arguably Red Wings' best player. He can't play in this game because he's not allowed into Canada. So, what does that do to Detroit? How does that affect their team? Be something interesting to watch. But to answer your question, I like Detroit money line in this game.
Yeah, we'll see. It is actually in Detroit, so he can play.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but that's okay. But that's like something to watch because, we'll talk a little bit about the Winnipeg Jets and Anaheim Ducks. Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele are out due to COVID protocol, and that's going to swing lines. So if, 10 minutes, 20 minutes before a game comes down and they have a positive test, that's going to change the lines a little bit. So let's move into another Canadian team that's just been in the doghouse lately. Winnipeg, they also have 1 point in 3 games. They're facing off against the Anaheim Ducks, who are third in the Pacific with 2 wins and 2 losses. Money line at minus 200 for Winnipeg, plus 166 for Anaheim. Now, if I'm a bettor, I'm taking Anaheim on this one because you're missing 2/3 of your top line if you're Winnipeg, and they haven't shown anything this year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I haven't watched more than 20 seconds of highlights of either team. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Winnipeg's a mess. Anaheim plus 166, a good bet. And I also like the under 5.5 goals bet here. Hellebuck and Gibson are probably the 2 best goalies in the Western Conference. So, you'd have to think the quality of goalies is probably going to be a lower scoring game. So I would be looking at under 5.5 goals as well.
Yeah, and if I remember right, Winnipeg was they blew a lead the other night as well against the Wild. Yeah, so it was 6-5, And I'm just looking here. Oh, they didn't blow a lead, but they basically went shot for shot with Minnesota, where, yeah, sorry, they blew a 2-goal lead in the third period. So it's, that's a team that needs to get their self sorted quickly, because that Central Division is just way too tough that if you start falling behind now, you're not going to catch up.
I agree.
Yeah, luckily the Pacific seems like garbage this year, so Vancouver might have a shot, but we'll touch on them a little bit later. Let's jump into another interesting matchup that we don't really know what to expect from: the New York Rangers versus Nashville Predators. You got the Predators are at 1-2 on the season with 2 points, and then the Rangers are at 2-1-1 with 5 points. I'm a big fan of UC Saros, so that's kind of where I'm leaning, is that the Nashville Predators are going to take this with a minus 119 money line. But the Rangers have shown that they're plucky and that they can pull out wins with their young team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Again, a game that I haven't really watched either one of these teams. I kind of like the Rangers here at plus 100. I think these two teams on paper are probably pretty evenly matched. So if you can get, plus odds, I'd lean that way.
Okay, so Arizona, Edmonton. I don't think we really need to discuss this one much. Edmonton's at minus 209. No point of putting money down on that, because Arizona is a tire fire that are playing goaltenders that nobody's ever even heard of. And they got Louis Eriksson on, like their first line some nights. So, or Jay Beagle centering their first line. And I got to say, I'm a little bit disappointed, because I was a fan of Clayton Keller, and his career is just going to go down the toilet in Arizona.
Yeah, I agree. The only one I like here on this line is Edmonton Oilers minus 1.5 goals. So Edmonton wins by 2 or more, pays out a plus 120. Like you said, Adam, I think that's basically a lock that Arizona gets creamed tonight. So I'd be all over Edmonton minus 1.5 goals.
Yeah, remember, Arizona lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets 8-2 earlier this year. And
exactly.
That's the Columbus Blue Jackets with not a lot of offense beat them. So now you can imagine we may see, I don't want to, talk like we talk a little bit about records and what McDavid's going to do, but this has like the feel of McDavid breaking Daryl Sittler's, or getting close to Daryl Sittler's 10-point game record. I don't know. Like, I just have that feeling that, we're going to wake up tomorrow and we're also going to see like McDavid pulling an 8 or 9 point game.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, there's no point discussing this game further. Arizona's going to get creamed. Bet all the money you have on McDavid and Draisaitl lighting up Arizona.
Yeah. And then we'll get to the main event for tonight for people in the Vancouver area, the Vancouver Canucks versus Chicago. Now, you and I disagree on this one, because, doing the research into Chicago, they're just there's no words to describe how bad they are. Their coach is getting booed when he walks onto the ice. They've scored 3 even strength goals all year. But there is a bet that you like, a boosted odd that you like about tonight's game. So why don't you share that a little bit?
Yeah, so the boosted odd for tonight's game is Alex DeBrincat to score 1 or more goals and Chicago Blackhawks to win, boosted from 250 to plus 325. So summary, this bet: DeBrincat scores, Blackhawks win, it's plus 325. DeBrincat is probably the best offensive option in Chicago outside of Patrick Kane. Canucks, it's hard to say what we can expect. I mean, their effort in Buffalo was terrible. I could very easily see them come out with their best game of the season. I could also see them come out with another, clunker, stinker, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I just have a feeling about this bet. I think DeBrincat's a dynamic player. Chicago, I don't think, has a win yet this season. The pressure's all turned up on Stan Bowman and their coach Jeremy Colleton. I'd probably make these bets separately anyways, the Blackhawks to win and DeBrincat to score. So if you can combine them and get plus 325 on that, seems like good odds to me.
Yeah, the only thing that people need to the only question I have about that is that currently Alex DeBrincat is playing on a line with Henrik Borgstrom and Ryan Carpenter.
Yes.
So
Noted offensive
and
player Ryan Carpenter.
yeah, so he is on the first power play unit with two-time Stanley Cup winner Tyler Johnson right now, but like that's where I kind I'm a little bit hesitant on the bet. I can see where it's come from, but DeBrincat on the third line is I don't know what they're doing in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about the bet, like you said, DeBrincat does get some power play time with Tyler Johnson, and I can see him being moved up even onto that first unit with Patrick Kane. If it's a 5-on-3 or the Blackhawks really need a goal. So the nice thing about this bet is that it doesn't say when or how DeBrincat has to score. He can get a power play goal that bounces in off Tyler Myers' skate or something, and it counts as his goal, and you win the bet. So, your concerns are definitely valid. Like, Ryan Carpenter and whoever that other guy you said aren't exactly offensive juggernauts, but I don't know. I just have a feeling DeBrincat's a dynamic player. Like I said, he's got a great shot. That's a bet that I'm going to be making probably about 2 minutes after we finish up this call here.
And I do have to make one correction on you. It's Tucker Pullman that the pucks go off of, not Tyler Myers.
Sorry, I forgot. Yes, Myers is too tall for that.
Yeah, Tucker Pullman, I think they've had 2 or 3 goals go off of him already. It's just one of those things you can't really control it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into some NFL, and we got a very weird game tonight. The Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. Cleveland Browns are going to be starting Case Keenum tonight, and they're down to their third string running back. They're just somebody said I think it was Bick yesterday said it was the on 650 it was the Cleveland practice squad versus the Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, how do you bet on this game? That's the question. Denver's at plus 110, Cleveland's at minus 120. So this is one of those games where I put money on the Denver Broncos because I don't have any faith in Case Keenum. I don't know who the third string running back is for Cleveland. I don't know who's out and who's in.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like you said, Cleveland's a mess. I don't know who they're going to play. I know Jarvis Landry's playing today, but I think he's his first game back off an injury, so you don't know what to expect there. Yeah, I mean, your guess is as good as mine on this game, to be honest. Like, one league I picked Cleveland, another league I picked Denver. Strictly playing the odds, Denver is plus 110. That seems like a pretty good bet to me. Like you said, Cleveland has a complete tire fire of an offense right now, so why not take the positive odds?
Yeah, and we'll see. It's just a weird game. I'm curious. Satyar Shah of Sportsnet 650 is a big Cleveland fan, so I'm curious of what his opinion of this game is. If you are a Cleveland fan, how do you watch this game? Kind of
carefully. I don't know. Drink heavily. I'm not sure. Here's the thing: Denver's not really that good of a team either, right? To start out the year, they were 3-0. I think they beat Houston, the Jets, and Jacksonville. I think so. 3 terrible teams, and since then they've lost 3 in a row. They're a beatable team, but like we've discussed, I don't know how Cleveland's going to score points. They have an entire backup of players at their skill positions. So, your third string running back's a third stringer for a reason, right? It's not like he's playing, behind 2 Hall of Fame running backs in front of him, right? Chubb and Hunt are good, but, you have to think if he was this third string guy was good enough, he'd be playing somewhere else as a starter, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're Cleveland, what do you try to do? I think you try to control the clock and win 10-7 or something. So maybe another good bet here would be the under on total points, which is 39.5.
And to answer people's questions, the last time Case Keenum played a game in which he threw over 10 passing attempts was December 29, 2019 in a 47-16 loss as a Washington Redskin versus the Dallas Cowboys. So
Yeah, 2 years
that should
ago.
tell you everything that you need to know about what might happen tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, when your team gets blown out 47-16, that's not great. Let's just say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's run down some games. Green Bay Packers, Washington football team. You got the Packers at minus 350. Yeah, it's like the Edmonton Oilers versus Phoenix or Arizona Coyotes, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Washington's supposed to have a good defense. They haven't had a good defense this year. Aaron Rodgers has been on a roll. I see them scoring a lot of points, and I don't think Taylor Heineke can keep up. So, if I had a lock of the week, I'd probably say Packers to win this game would be the lock.
Okay, the KC Chiefs versus the Tennessee Titans. Right now, you got the Kansas City Chiefs are big favorites at minus 200. Tennessee's at plus 175. Now, this surprises me because Derrick Henry is basically guaranteed 100 yards rushing this year. Like, I know Tennessee is not the best overall. Like, their defense is kind of suspect. Ryan Tannehill is showing why he wasn't a great quarterback in Miami because he can't really he's a good game manager, but he can't really win games late, it seems, this year. But KC is just having all types of problems. So do you still take KC in this one, or are you leaning a little bit towards Tennessee?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Tennessee. Like you said, KC's had all sorts of problems on defense. I think they're the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL. If you want to beat Mahomes, it's pretty simple strategy, right? You keep him on the sideline. And with Derrick Henry, like you said, basically guaranteed to get 100 yards rushing. You can run the ball 35, 40 times, get a few touchdowns, and basically just run out the clock. So, I really like Tennessee in this game. And, at plus 175, that's actually pretty good money odds as well.
Yeah, like I'm a big Derrick Henry fan, but I also took him in both of my fantasy leagues, and he has won me I think he's won me 3 weeks now. So I will take it. He had like a 40-something point week. Last week he had 35, I think it was. So yeah, that one will be interesting. Now, this is something that I don't think I've ever seen before. We have 2 games that the line is over 1,000 on. So you got the LA Rams are minus 1,100 against Detroit, and then the Arizona Arizona Cardinals are minus 1,600 over Houston Texans at plus 1,000. Now, like, we've seen over 1,000 before, but I don't think we've seen it twice in 1 week.
No, not that I can recall. Makes sense. The Rams, to me, are probably the best complete team in the NFC. Detroit's, bottom 2 or 3 worst teams in the league. Arizona is right in that discussion as well for best team in the NFC. I think they're the only undefeated team so far. And Houston is probably the worst team in the league as well. So, there's no juice in minus 1,100 and minus 1,600. I'd probably try to parlay the spreads together to see if you can get some sort of good return on your money. Rams are minus 15.5. So, 2 touchdowns, 2 extra, 2-point conversions away, 16 points. Arizona minus 17.5. That's a huge spread. But, Houston's terrible. So I'm surprised it's actually not a bigger spread. So if I was to be, making these bets, I'd probably parlay Rams minus 15.5 with Arizona minus 17.5.
So let's play the what if game. Which of these 2 games do you feel more confident that there could be an upset in?
Houston for sure. Listen, Detroit has nobody on defense. Matthew Stafford has been arguably the NFL MVP so far this year. Detroit's offensive line is weak. Aaron Donald's the best defensive player in football. Jalen Ramsey's the best covered corner in football. I just don't see any way Detroit wins this game. At least with Arizona, you can maybe make a case if Kyler Murray has a bad day and Chandler Jones is still out for Arizona and, 15 things go right for Houston, they might be in it at the end. It could win on a field goal, but I don't see any possible scenario how Detroit can beat LA.
Now, I actually think that Detroit has the better chance. And the reason that I think that is because you got Joshua Griffiths of the Van Slam's favorite player of all time, the Giraffe, Jared Goff, coming back to LA. And what we don't realize is that they've kept it close in some games. They took the Ravens to the last minute basically, and they only lost 19-17. The Vikings, they lost 19-17. So I think that this is a team that isn't as bad on the surface as it seems. And it seems like every, odd week they do well. So every even week they get blown out. Every odd week they do okay. And you know what? It's week 5. So if you're that could lead to maybe they can pull something out in the end.
Yeah, maybe. Crazier things have happened, I guess. But I think they lost 36-0 last week, and now they have to play LA. I don't know. Like I said, I don't see how they beat LA, who, arguably the best team in the NFC in my opinion.
The disrespect on the Cardinals here. I don't know what's going on. Nobody seems to have faith in them.
Well, I mean,
I got JJ Watt.
Yes, 33-year-old JJ Watt. That's right.
Hey man, if JJ Watt was coming running towards me, I would just give, like, I'm not dealing with that. Like, that's terrifying to watch. I don't care how old he is. It's JJ Watt.
What now? Do Aaron Donald?
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be an interesting. Yeah, that will be some interesting matchup. Well, Aaron Donald is like one of the smartest players in the NFL, but he does have off weeks. So
yeah,
let's jump over to some other members of the Area 51 Sports Network. Chris Roy and Malcolm's Las Vegas Raiders are taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Las Vegas at minus 150, Philadelphia at plus 135. Now, here's where I kind of struggle with the Raiders and that the whole John Gruden thing. I don't, maybe they had a last week they won, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And that was the first week without John Gruden. But I just feel like that might have been more of an emotional win, and that they might come down a little bit this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, right? And, Philadelphia hasn't been – I think they're better than the record has shown. Like, I can't remember a game where they've looked absolutely brutal. I mean, they're 2-4. That's not a good record, but I feel like they've hung around in most of their games. Me personally, I would probably take the Raiders to win this game, but Eagles +3. That might not be a bad bet if you want to put some money on Philadelphia. I think it'll be a close game. So Eagles +3 at minus 110 might not be the worst bet here either.
Yeah, like, we'll see. If we say to bet on the Eagles, we might get yelled at. So we'll skip that one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have Chris in my ear all night.
Fair enough.
Okay, so let's jump to two more. San Francisco, Indianapolis. It's still unclear if Jimmy G is going to be playing today, or I guess Sunday. So that's why the line is so close. You got Indianapolis at plus 180, San Francisco at minus 200. So what are we thinking here?
Yeah, I still like San Francisco. Indianapolis lost their safety today to a torn Achilles at practice. Forget the guy's name. I think it was their rookie free safety. He's looked pretty sharp this year. So another injury in the secondary. San Francisco's had a good year. The Colts have Carson Wentz, and I kind of have a general rule of never bet on Carson Wentz because he's terrible. So San Francisco minus 200 isn't great odds, but I think they'll win the game pretty easily. So I'd lean towards San Francisco here.
I mean, it's probably a good thing to not bet on anti-vaxxers as well. So, yeah, I agree. Plus, Indianapolis has all this stuff going on with the Hard Knocks during the season. There's a lot of distractions there. So, yeah, it's probably safe. And then we'll jump to I don't know what to make of this game. The Seahawks versus New Orleans Saints. You got New Orleans at minus 220, Seattle at plus 195. Geno Smith has played well since he's taken over for Russell Wilson, but Geno Smith has played well since he's taken over for Russell Wilson, but it's like their defense. What do you like? There's no words to describe their defense. They're just that bad.
Yeah, I mean, Seahawks have an absolutely horrible defense. You're right. Geno Smith, looked competent, I guess you could say. He didn't stand out. Here's the thing about Jameis Winston in New Orleans. They're, as they showed week 1 against Green Bay, they can light up bad secondaries. When I think of bad secondaries, I think of the Seattle Seahawks. So, I actually was going to be weird to say. I actually like Jameis Winston in this game. To me, Saints minus 220 would be my pick. I also like Saints minus 5 as well. I think they'll win by probably 7, 8, 9, 10 points. So not even really a discussion for me on this one. I'd be leaning New Orleans all the way.
Yeah, I've just learned not to bet on the Seahawks because they break your heart every time that you bet on them. So
that's right.
That's safe, I think. Okay, so let's go one more game here, and we'll go to your forte here. The Atlanta Braves have a chance to make the World Series tonight. They are at plus 115, so they are the underdogs with Max Fried on the mounds against the LA Dodgers, who have Joe Kelly at minus 135. Now, do you think the Dodgers keep their season alive, or is it are the Braves gonna make it to the World Series?
Yeah, you know what? This one is interesting to me. I haven't watched any of the NLCS. I've been mostly watching the ALCS. Braves plus 115. I like that bet. Joe Kelly, I don't think has started a playoff game since 2013 when he's with the Cardinals. So it's like 8 years ago. Like you said, the Braves, if they win this game, can go to the World Series. I think they want to win this game, get out of LA, and have a few days off before the World Series starts. Braves plus 115. They've shown to be the better team so far this NLCS. I'd be taking the Braves to win and move on here.
Yeah. So the Atlanta Braves, they're good. Like they're one of the best. They were one of the best teams in the entire of baseball this season. Like they're one of those teams that's interesting because nobody really talked about them the entire season, I guess.
Yeah, I mean they're an interesting team, right? Like the Braves kind of rebuilt themselves at the trade deadline. Like they got Jock Peterson from the Cubs. They picked up Rosario for, I think it was Pablo Sandoval, who then got released. I'm seeing here they get Ozuna back tonight. I think he's back from his suspension. So they're an interesting team. It kind of feels like they're a team of destiny. They've just been, like you said, just kind of winning any way possible. They kind of flew under the radar. They don't have any big superstars. Like Ronald Acuna Jr. is their best player, and he's been out since I think end of June with a torn ACL. So it's an interesting team, but sometimes these teams get on these rolls, and yeah, I think the Braves are in one of those roles where basically everything they do seems to come up golden.
Yeah, they're looking for their first opportunity at the World Series since 1999. We got to give a special shout out to Canadian Freddie Freeman. He wasn't born in Canada, but both of his parents are Canadian, so that's one reason to bet on the Braves tonight. We could see another Canadian, big-time Canadian in the World Series.
Yeah, no, Freddie is, it's also a contract year for him. I don't believe, as far as I know, he has an extension for next year. So, he's potentially playing in some of his last games as the Brave. He's been with the Braves his entire big league career. He's just that solid power bat in the 2-3 hole wherever they play him. Yeah, I mean, he's been one of the best players over the last 5, 6, 7 years, and I'd love to see him move on to the World Series and potentially win it all.
Hall of Famer, yes or no?
I think so. I mean, if you look at his statistics, look at his impact on the game. Like I said, he's been one of the best players. He's always up there in home runs, RBIs. He has an NL MVP. Yeah, I think he probably gets in.
So career-wise, he's been 12 years. He's won 1, 2, 3. He's won 5 All-Stars. He has what is this? 1,704 runs, or sorry, hits. He's got 969 runs, 941 RBI, and 271 home runs. So I think if he gets to 300, I think that's kind of the benchmark that they'll put him in.
Yeah. The home runs total is low that you just said, 271. I thought he was up over 300 already. I think he probably has to get to 400 to be in the Hall of Fame conversation. But, the thing with Freeman is that he's not just a typical, pull power hitting first baseman. He, obviously does pull the ball quite a lot, but he goes all over the park. He plays Gold Glove defense, like you said, 5-time All-Star. He's been quietly one of the best players in the league for 5, 6, 7 years now. So.
Yeah, and you talk about how he's been in the field. He has 63 errors over 1,539 games. That's pretty good.
Yeah, crazy, right? I mean, you look at it, a player who has multiple Gold Gloves, considered one of the best defensive shortstops in the league right now, Javi Baez. I think he had 30 errors this year alone, right? So in 100-something games, he has 30, and Freeman has 65 in 10 years of playing.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. So we'll wrap it up for today. If you do have any betting questions, you can always send them to us beforehand, and we'll try to answer them. We will be back next Thursday around the same time for another episode of Bet 99's UFO Show on the Area 51 Sports Network. That will do it for episode 17. Thank you very much for joining, and make sure to get those bets in on bet99.com.